What's up, everyone? It's Penuel, the Black Pen. So I've been offering online consults for quite a while now. Used to be an hour sometimes is a bit long, so I cut it down to 30 minutes. And if ever we need to go on for longer, then I try to schedule additional 30-minute segments. It allows us to make it compact, tight. There's no chatting to me about you like my YouTube videos. You focus exactly on what it is that you want to talk about. I've met up with Umbegezeli, an amazing young gentleman, very ambitious young gent. He actually even came to visit me in Johannesburg, and we took an amazing walk. Told me about his dreams, his upbringing, his vision as well. Begezeli and I were meant to have a consult last week. I was very busy at the time, and the thing he wanted to discuss, I felt, is something that is important to share with you guys. So the agreement that we made, myself and him, is that the money that he sent me for the consult, I'll use it to make this video for you guys. So officially, I would like to thank Umbegezeli and his company Garmentz for sponsoring this video. I think if any of you moving forward, especially if it's a topic, a conversation that is for the benefit of the masses and not just you individually. I mean, if you want to speak about your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, if you want to speak about money that your father left you, something very, very personal, then we can have a one-on-one virtually. But if it's something generic that can benefit a lot of people, I can go and do the research, I can share some of my thoughts, make a video about it, share it with people, and then I can take that money for the consult and use it as a sponsorship for the video. And if you want, of course, I can give a shout out to your company, I can give a shout out to your personal brand. Maybe you're looking for work opportunities somewhere, maybe you're looking for a lover, the love of your life, whatever it is that you'd like me to spread out there into the world. Maybe you just want to share a personal message, telling people who to vote for, what they must do in their communities, how to be better parents. I can take that script that you've given me and then I can share it on behalf of you to thank you for sponsoring this video that is very important for everyone else. So I'll start off with giving a shout out to Garmentz. It's Garmentz, Garmentz. Garmentz. It's a t-shirts and school shoes supplier. They supply both reject clothing and non-reject high-quality t-shirts with a minimum order quantity of 50 items. So Umbegezeli does wholesale essentially. So if you're selling individually, he can supply you. And look, if you need it for a school, if you need it for a center, an orphanage, etc., please hit Garmentz up. Their school shoes have a minimum order quantity of 100 pairs. Brands in the catalog are Toughies, we all know Toughies, and Trustees, which we know as well. And then linked to the Trustees brand, they offer 30 pairs for free. Free 30 pairs for every 100 pairs that you buy to donate through their partner in charity service. So the charity, of course, could be some NPO somewhere. It could be needy kids within your own family or your own community. So if you order 100, they give you an extra 30 pairs for free. High quality, of course, affordable prices, and they can deliver countrywide wherever you are. Please get in touch with them. Their Facebook page is Garmentz. Please search Garmentz, Garmentz on Facebook. Their website is www.garmentz.co.za. Garmentz with a Z. Mbegezeli, again, I'd like to thank you for sponsoring this video. Mbegezeli asked me 3 general questions. What is asset protection? Number 2, what are the types of asset protection that are out there? And then what benefits does each entail? You know, these would sound like simple questions, but they're actually very complicated and very intelligent questions, because for anyone who understands financial planning, people that understand managing money and those kind of things, asset protection is one of the most overlooked aspects in building wealth, in making money, in building your empire. And when it comes to offering financial advice, I try to keep it as simple as possible. I am not rich by any stretch of the imagination. I am not a registered financial planner. What else? I am not a qualified somebody in the money space. I share my thoughts based on research I've done, articles I've read, books that I've read, videos that I've watched, and then my own personal experience, the experiences of people that I've counseled, I've coached, and some of the maybe well-off people that I have in my family, in my friendship circle, my mentors, etc. What is an asset? Maybe just to start off very clearly. Robert Kiyosaki simplifies it by saying that an asset is something that brings money in, and brings money in on a consistent basis. When you look at what banks, financial institutions regard as assets, Robert Kiyosaki doesn't stick to that definition. So, for example, you have artworks on your walls. You have a very fancy watch. You've got some antique clothing, antique furniture, vintage clothing and antique furniture. To Robert Kiyosaki, that is not an asset because that stuff is sitting. It's not bringing money for you in. But if you go to the banks and other spaces, they will take those assets and they will quantify a value to them. The reason they do that, of course, is because these things can be sold and money can be brought in. But essentially, it's what is bringing money for you today. The bank will say your home where you live is an asset because at any given time they can sell it. Robert Kiyosaki says your home is not an asset. If anything, it's a liability because it costs you money every month. Rates, taxes, maintenance, maybe you have a housekeeper, you have a gardener, things are breaking apart. For him, is a house an asset? If it is bringing money in, then yes. So in this question, you need to figure out what are assets to me? Is it the technical definition or is it more of the things that bring money for me in? And for asset protection, it could be either or. I mean, an asset could be something like the love of your life, your partner, your wife, your husband. An asset could be your children, as an example. But for the ease of this, I'll focus mainly on things like a business that brings money in, maybe rental properties if you own any. If you have vehicles, specifically vehicles that work as Uber, Bolts, maybe you have scooters that work for delivery. Maybe you have trucks, as an example. You do furniture delivery, you courier goods, or maybe you do commodities transport, coal, chrome, platinum, etc. What other assets could there be? It could be things like books. I'm an author. I've got 13 books that I've written. How do I protect the books that I've written, which is what we call intellectual property? Maybe an artist, you have created certain artworks. Maybe a musician, you have certain books. I mean, we hear sometimes people speaking about masters. What's a master? No, I've bought back my masters. No, this company owns the masters to my music. That is intellectual property. And anything else that you've maybe copywritten, a patent, etc., etc. Those are assets. And how do you protect these assets? People are constantly focused on making as much money as they can. And they make money in a variety of ways, some of which I've mentioned. For most people, you make money through a job, salary, you're employed somewhere. Some people are self-employed. So especially for the high professionals, you could be an engineer with your own firm, could be a lawyer with your own firm, could be an accountant, maybe with your own firm practice. So you become self-employed. What that means is you don't work for somebody being a boss. You work for your customers and you own your time and you own as and when you work. But unfortunately, when you're not at the firm, when you're not at your office, when you're not at your practice, you don't make money in, but you are self-employed. Then there are people that own businesses, and a business is a system. So you own, the easiest one to use as an example, and this is the one Robert Kiyosaki uses, is a franchise, something like McDonald's, KFC, Chicken Licken, etc. A business system where it sits there. You are on holiday in Mauritius. You are sipping on cocktails and pina coladas. And there are people that wake up every single day. They go and open the business. They make sure that it's clean. They make sure that the marketing is on point. They make sure that your staff is trained. They make sure that people are paid on time. Taxes are paid. They make sure that the business is functioning. It is a business system. So there are people that own business systems. Then there are people that are investors. An investor is someone who puts money into a system that works, but they are not involved in ownership at all from an operational perspective. Let me put it that way. Because if you own a franchise, it's yours. If anything happens, it comes back to you. When you are an investor in McDonald's as a company or KFC, if one branch closes, if there's a lawsuit, etc., you are not directly involved in that. However, the money that you put in as an investor will be affected. The value, will you earn dividends, etc. And then you also can vote at the annual general meetings or any special meetings. You can vote on the CEO, the executive team, the direction that the company is taking, depending on how many shares and how much control that you have. So those are the ways that people make money. And then today, of course, a lot of people are looking into what you call side hustles, which could fall into any of these brackets. You could buy some scooters, put them under Take-A-Lot, put them under Mr. Delivery. You can go and get some rental properties. Either you're building back rooms in your house, or you've bought a flat somewhere, or a townhouse, or you've managed to build or buy a complex, a small bunch of flats, or a big one. as an example. So there is rental property made there. People are looking into things like solar. Some of these solar companies are offering people to own solar panels. And then there are people that rent the panels so that every month or every period, 6 months, a year, etc., those solar panels can pay you out some kind of what we call annuity income, which is money that is coming periodically, whether it's monthly, quarterly, biannually, or annually, whatever the case may be. People doing solar panels. There are people that buy trucks, for example, and rent those out. There are people that rent out vehicles like your Avis, Hertz, budget car hire, all these things that are out there. There are people that obviously sell goods and services on the side. You have a job or you don't have a job and you sell Herbalife, Long Rich. You might be selling juice. You might be selling Amway, Tupperware, whatever the case may be. The question is, Pen, I'm making money through my job, through my side hustles, through my business. I have a share portfolio. I have properties. How do I protect these things? The two ways that most people, when they speak about asset protection, speak about is number one, a will, and number two, a trust. A will is basically a document which says, in the event that I pass on, this is what I would like to see happening to my assets, the things that bring money in for me. Write a will, you can register it with a lawyer or a legal firm. You can register it with a bank. Some people, of course, write a will and they leave it to their family members. This thing can obviously be challenged. Someone can doctor it and be like, no, dad said he's leaving me all the cows. And you're like, bro. So you rather leave it with an impartial, objective third party, being a bank, being a lawyer, etc. A lot of people don't have wills. And realistically and honestly, most of you do not need a will because you do not have much. It's sad, but it's the reality. You want to get a will for things that are of value. I can tell you now, you can have a will on the wall in your house and you can maybe even make a will video that you send, because wills need to be updated, especially when you acquire more assets, your property portfolio has grown, your share portfolio has grown, your cows went from 20 heads of cattle to 300 heads of cattle. So on an annual, maybe every 3-5 years, or every time you dispose of or acquire new assets, you want to write a will or make a will video and send it out. You can send it out to your kids, to your partner, to your family. And something as silly as, I know you guys love my leather jacket that I got from Michael Jackson. So my leather jacket that I have, that I got from whoever, or, you know, my furniture that I love so much, my rocking chair, that you can put on your wall, can send a video and be like, guys, if anything ever happens to me, I want my daughter to inherit my collection of CDs. I don't know if I'm a 2000 know what a CD is. I want, I don't know, like my collection of rugby boots or marathon medals to be given to my nephew because he loves running. And he always used to be like, oh, malume, uncle, babamkulu, you know, I love running. I want to be like you. So you're like, you can leave those things. For the more serious things, you really, really want to take it seriously in terms of legal procedures and compliance. So the will is the one part, especially when you die. The trust is the other one. And there are two types of trust. There is a testamentary trust. I'm going to fuck up the names because I haven't done this stuff in many years. There's a trust upon your death where your assets go into the trust upon you dying automatically. It's set up like that. And then there's an inter vivos, amongst the living, means you're still alive, trust for you while you're still living, a living trust, which means while you're alive, there's a trust. You can manage it. You can add assets to there. Can maybe take assets out of there if it's possible for it to be set up like that. There's revocable, irrevocable. Some of these things, like I said, can be very complicated. And even within revocable, irrevocable, there's different levels of it. You can become a trustee, but it's recommended that you get other secondary, tertiary trustees. You can get a lawyer, a legitimate trust expert lawyer to do that. You can register a trust with a bank. There are other institutions now that are registering trust. A trust in its simplest form is a vault. It's a safe where you take your things, you put them in there so that if anything happens to you, the government, because they love taking out money, government, South African Revenue Services, SARS, the taxman, other people you owe money to cannot access that stuff. A trust is a vault, and there's different types of vaults, as I said. There's one where your things get chucked in there as soon as you die. There's one where you put the stuff in there. And then there's revocable, irrevocable. You have to choose a worthy, respected, qualified trustee where possible to manage your assets. I've spoken to some people and they've said things like, if you have assets under, let's say, 3 million rand, including your home, you probably shouldn't be looking at a trust. Trust can be very expensive. You can look at just setting it up front, anything from 2,000 rand to 20,000 rand or more, just up front. And then every year, depending on the trust you have, you could be paying anything from 10,000 to 20,000 to all the way to 100,000 rand per annum just to manage it, because there's a trustee, at least one, who is managing this trust on your behalf and maybe even managing the assets under them, under that trust or in that trust. And if they are not managing those assets, there might be people they have to pay to manage those assets. As an example, you own 5 real estate rental properties. Those properties are maybe managed under a real estate agency, and that agency earns a commission, and there's maintenance and those things that need to be done. So the trustee will ensure that the real estate agency is still acting in good faith, is doing the work they need to do, is managing the tenants, and they make sure that they get paid. Now the trustee needs to be paid for managing that. You've got a share portfolio, and that share portfolio is maybe being managed by a portfolio manager somewhere at a bank, a trading house, whatever the case may be. Your trustee has to ensure that that manager is sending reports, they're making sure that dividends are getting paid. If anything needs to change in the share portfolio, maybe a company is collapsed, the trustee needs to be informed so that they can say, yes, by all means, please go ahead and do that. So a trustee needs to be paid for that. And if you do not have a lot of money, and if your trust doesn't have assets that are making a lot of money, it does not make sense to get a trust. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to get a trust. Trusts are expensive, guys. That's the one part. The second part is that trust, last I checked, I stand to be corrected. And you can correct me in the comments. I can maybe go and do some research after this. Trusts are taxed at 40%. So if your trust made 1 million rand in profit this year, 400,000 of that is going to go to the tax man. So you're like, then why the hell would I put my stuff in a trust? It's because, like I said, it can protect you from creditors, people you owe money, can protect you in the situation of divorce where your partner is like, I want 50%. Nyaga. You're like, okay, you can have 50%, but you can't have that because that's in the trust. So you're protected for those reasons. But then also, you want to make sure that the profits that are made in that trust are constantly buying more assets, more things, so that you have to cut down or you find intelligent ways to avoid tax, which is, I think it's avoid tax, which is legal. Tax evasion is illegal. Sorry, it's raining a lot in the back. I hope you guys can't hear that. So I spoke about a will. I spoke about a trust. Trust is expensive. The tax is high. But you do it to protect yourself in those things. There are other ways to protect your assets though. In a situation like Garmentz, the company we're speaking about today that sells wholesale, reject, non-reject, shoes, t-shirts, etc. Your business insurance is a way to protect your asset. In case, let's say you have a KFC, McDonald's, like I said earlier, a fire breaks out. You know, it's June, July 2021, riots and looting. People are coming to burn the shopping mall where your shop is there. Could be a situation where even now you've got these small little scooter-like cars, Bajaj. We had the Bolts and the Ubers. A lot of the meter taxi guys were smashing, breaking, could even be hijacking some of these cars. So you get insurance. You can get business insurance, of course. You can get car insurance if you have a vehicle, if you have a truck, etc. You can get property insurance for your house, for maybe you own a block of, maybe you own a shopping center or a shopping mall. So you get property insurance in case anything happens. A fire, gets struck by maybe lightning, or people come and vandalize and destroy the area. So you can get insurance for your assets, whatever they may be. It could include things like books or your IP. It could include things like your artworks. It could include yourself as an asset. I'm a musician. My asset is my voice. And I will get insurance in case I lose my voice. I maybe have to cancel bookings, whatever the case may be. Today, they even offer salary insurance. So that if you are retrenched, if you are unemployed, if something's happening, they will pay you out for a specific period, because it's like you have lost your ability to make income. So that is insurance as a form of asset protection. The other thing is to put your assets within certain legal bodies. Could be A lot of people run businesses as a sole proprietor. That means you run it as an individual and you get taxed like an individual. We used to have closed corporations, CCs in South Africa. They've been phased out, but some still exist. Then you've got private companies, Pty Ltd, which get taxed at a lower rate than CCs back in the day, at a lower rate than you as an individual. As an individual making R1 million a year, you could be taxed anything from 40 to 45%. But a company, Pty Ltd, a private company, is taxed at 28% after deducting business costs. Private company, and then obviously you can become a public listed company on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange or somewhere else. So you can see, look, I've got 5 cars in my Bolt fleet. Do I have them in my personal capacity? When I register them at the traffic department with under NATIS, do I put them under my name, which means if they make money, I get taxed? Or do I put them under a business name? I go and I register a company at the CIPC, and I make sure that these companies are registered under the business. And the money that gets made is business income. You get business deductions for fuel, for paying your drivers, for car insurance, for all these other things. And then at the end of the year, there's also a turnover tax for small to medium enterprises in South Africa. But generally, company tax, you're looking at about 28% that you pay, which is lower. So that becomes a way to protect your asset. And obviously, if you've got investors, if you've got shareholders, they also get worried when things are in your name. Because you go and you get married. And then after you get married, your wife, your husband, you guys get divorced, they split, they're like, I want half of their business. And then the investors are like, no. And your shareholders are like, no. It's like, bro, because you didn't put this thing in a company, as far as we're concerned, this is your business. Same thing happens when people are chasing after you for debt that they need to collect on you. So make sure of the type of legal entity that you put your hustles, your business in, to ensure that you're, number one, paying the least amounts of tax, and number two, if anything happens to you, they won't necessarily go after those assets in that case. The legal aspect, we have to speak about marriage, which I do not support. I've spoken about it on other platforms. If you're going to get married, you probably have assets, or you're going to have assets. That's where we speak about a prenuptial agreement, antenuptial agreement. If you ain't no punk, holla, we want prenup. Because a lot of people get married, marriages don't last for whatever reason, and then thereafter your partner wants half of what you have, and you're like, but this fucking clown was not there while I was building my business. This fucking clown was cheating on me while I was hustling. This clown wasn't there when I was helping my mom build this rental portfolio, and then I inherited it, and now they want half. So one of the ways to protect your assets is with these prenuptial agreements, to make sure that as you're getting married, if anything happens, this person is not going to get the things you either inherited or built yourself. Or in the progress of the marriage, whatever you accumulate, either you guys agree that you're going to share it, or there's some type of percentage split on how it's going to be shared, or you just don't share nothing at all. You're like, look, what I built during our marriage or in the course of our marriage is mine and mine alone. You want to protect that as someone who has assets. You also want to protect that as someone who is marrying someone with assets or who will accumulate assets. Not to snake them at all, but to say, look, you are marrying me, sir, and you would like me to be a housewife. I understand, I respect it. I'm a traditional woman. I will raise your children. I will clean your home. I will be your emotional support. However, to protect myself, because I'm an asset in myself, I will make sure that whatever assets you accumulate, I get a portion of them. Because you are taking me out of the ability to earn an income elsewhere. So I would like to protect myself and to protect our assets as a family. And you might even find sometimes within that marriage that you have an agreement. Let's say you're a traditional man, you marry a traditional woman. You guys sign something where you look, she'll get 20% of whatever I own. You might find that that lady who's entitled to 20% sets up a trust so that her 20% goes into a trust. One day, 80% of your value is almost wiped out. And you end up relying on your traditional wife. And she'll say, babe, I've got you. I made sure that the assets that I've accumulated within myself under my name from you are put within a trust so we can still sustain ourselves. So those things can happen. You want to make sure of some of that. So marriage is not a way to protect your assets, unfortunately, unless if you really trust the person you're marrying to a point where I'm marrying this person. If I die, my spouse is a financial manager. They're a money guru. All my money will go to them and they will make sure that the children are taken care of. They will make sure that my assets are taken care of. My business is still running, etc., etc. But outside of that, marriage in itself is not necessarily asset protection. However, you do need asset protection if you are going to get into marriage, because anything can happen. One of you can pass on, or you guys can get divorced. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. There are beneficiaries, of course, because with your assets, you want to leave them to your kids. Spoke about the will, we spoke about the trust. Your beneficiaries can be your kids, they can be your nieces, your nephews, they can be random children in the neighborhood, it can be a kid that you really admire somewhere. It could be your business partners. You're like, this person's helped me build wealth. I would like to make them a beneficiary in my will or in my trust. And even in the way you set up, whether it's a sole proprietor, a partnership, you're like, I want my kids as soon as they turn 18 to become directors and shareholders in my company, etc. So that if anything happens, they get these things. There's something now that people are learning about called key man insurance, which is in a business with business partners. You take out insurance on your business partner so that if anything happens, you get a payout and the business can keep running. There's also insurance that is just taken out in the ordinary course of business. There are employers, I don't know if you're aware, that take out insurance on your life so that if you pass on, they will pay out for your funeral, as an example, and they also get a payout because you died. I hope your boss is not, you're not side-eyeing your boss like, this motherfucker might kill me to get paid out. But some employers, rightfully so, because you add value to them, you are an asset to them, you help them make money, they will take out insurance on your life. There are people that take out insurance, of course, on their parents, on other people that are important in their lives as well. There are obviously people within a marriage who will be like, I'm a housewife, I took out life insurance on my husband because he provides. If ever, for whatever reason, he passes on, we don't know what happened, I will get paid out and me and the kids will get covered. So that is asset protection in a nutshell. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. If I remember anything that I missed out, I'll probably make another video or I'll add in the comments. But essentially, an asset is something that makes money for you. And it could be your children that are an asset to you and you take out insurance on their lives. It could be your spouse. It could be your parents. It could be your business partner. So an asset is something that you value, but it's also generally something that brings in money for you. There are various ways to protect your assets, of which a will upon your death, a trust, whether one that kicks in when you die or one that you have while you're still alive. A trust is another one. Trusts are expensive. As I said up front, you're looking at 2,000 to 20,000, 30,000 just up front. And then every year you have to pay, let's say to be easy, 20,000 to 100,000 for the trustee. Trusts are lodged with the master of the high court. They are not lodged at the CIPC like companies and the like. They are lodged with the master of the high court. It's a legal instrument. It's a legal body. It's a legal entity. And there's a trustee that is meant to run these things. You want someone that you trust, someone that has got a good track record. If you do not have a lot of money, forget about trusts. One of the ways to protect your assets, of course, and maybe I'm forgetting this, it's one of the most important ones for me. Educate your loved ones on how to manage the things that you care about. You love your children? Educate your wife, educate your parents on how to best take care of your children in case anything happens to you. Educate your children on your business. Stop saying, no, this is my money, this is my car. You might just pass on tomorrow. And then your kids are going to go snort cocaine, give that money away to their partners, whatever the case may be. So educate and empower your people, your loved ones. I think that's probably the most important way of asset protection. The two most important. Educating the people you care about to preserve. It could be your Uber driver driving your car. Train him on how to best drive and take care of your car. Make sure it's clean. Drive responsibly. If people are working in your business, you want to train them so that they take the best care of your business and treat it as if it's their own. So educating, empowering people within your circle on how to take care of the things you care about. And then number two is educating yourself. Research the things that I've spoken about. The trusts, the wills, the costs. Find out about the different legal entities you can register in. Learn about tax. What type of taxes are attracted? Capital gains tax, value added tax. Can I get some of it back? What about my personal income tax? How can I minimize that? How can I legally avoid some tax and not illegally evade tax? And what are the best structures? There are people that take some of their wealth and they put it in offshore trusts. Offshore means not within your country. There are people that have found these master people that shift money around. So they put it in a trust, but the trust is offshore and then it's in a tax haven where there's no tax being paid at the Cayman Islands. And Very, very complicated structures, which normally cost a lot of money. But I mean, if you're a billionaire, if you have 100 million rand, polygamist, you've got women that probably want to fight each other when you die. If you've got 15 children, you want to try and move some of these things the way. But if you can educate your kids intelligently to be like, guys, this is what we've built as a family. This is what I've built as your father, as your mother. This is what I inherited from my parents or my grandparents, this land and these herds, this herd of cattle or these sheep or these pigs. This is what we inherited, and I need to educate and train you guys so that you can take the best care of these things. Sending your kids to school, sending your kids to do short courses, sending your kids and yourself to apprentice with people that can mentor you and educate you on to best do these things is one of the best ways to ensure true asset protection. At the end of the day, guys, we come here alone, naked in this world, and we die kind of alone. So do not stress yourself too much on material possessions. They are important because the material possessions you've accumulated cost you your life. You invested time, blood, sweat. You risked your life. You gave of time, precious time that you sacrificed, you could have spent with loved ones to accumulate these assets that you have. So you want to protect them. But remember that these things are not the beginning and the end of your life. The most important assets you must invest in are the relationships you have with the people that care about you. And if you can invest in those relationships, you don't even need to worry about material possessions because those people will give of themselves and whatever assets they have to ensure that you're good. I invest all the time in my friendships, in my relationships, because if I ever lose money and whatever assets I own, I know that at any given time, those people will give me a job. I know at any given time, those people can borrow me or even give me a car, a property, etc. So that they're like, Pen, you're struggling. Here you go. Start yourself off again. Here's 5 cows. Here's a bull. Go and start again with your farming venture. Pen, here's a job. You can earn 20, 40,000 rand a month just to get yourself up and going again. And at any given time, they can help me feed and house my children if I'm struggling. So I protect my friendships by making sure that I invest in those relationships as well. Educate yourselves if you have a share portfolio. Read up on the equities, the stocks market. Find out what's going on politically. Find out what's going on in the economy and the business world. Just recently, Anglo Ashanti, which was a breakoff from Anglo American, it's delisting from South Africa and the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and they're going to list at the New York Stock Exchange, the NYSE. Founded in South Africa by Sir Ernest Oppenheimer. These are the so-called creators and founders of South Africa as a capitalist economic state. It is now leaving South Africa after making so much money here for various reasons. Political instability, maybe they feel doesn't make them that much money anymore. Headquartered, I think, in the United Kingdom. It's got offices in the United States of America, and now we're losing it. We lost Naspers, which was listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, founded by the Broederbond as one newspaper. I don't know if it was the Beeld or the Burger, became a huge company worth over R1 trillion, invested in Tencent, which owns WeChat in China. They delisted in South Africa and they went to Amsterdam. They are based there. As a country, for example, when you look at our political leadership and part of our business leadership, they are not doing their best to protect the assets we have in terms of the companies that are here. Companies that could pump in much needed money into the country. A lot of us are not taking care of our children, of our relationships with our spouses. A lot of us are not investing in our families. The people that are meant to take care of us the day we get old, the day we're dying, the day you need them as an asset, they will be like, but you didn't take care of us. You didn't protect us while we were alive. A lot of us are not protecting this country because of who we vote for or who we don't vote for, the type of leaders we support, the types of initiatives we support, the type of racism and hatred and xenophobia we spew. We are not protecting ourselves. And the day things change in this country, you will become a casualty of things that you did wrong, of things that you failed to do right. So we need to consider these things as well. I think I'll stop the video there. Again, I want to thank Umbegezelu Putwami for sponsoring this video. Again, if you would like to sponsor a video, if you've got some questions, whether it is about business, politics, could be something to do with your personal life, please hit me up. You can DM me on Instagram, you can DM me on Twitter. Some people DM me on Facebook. Send me some of your questions. Tell me, look, this is my business I want to promote. This is what I want to speak about. Please hit me up. Could be anything. If it's something that is inappropriate for me, I will let you know. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do this video. Or we can have a personal chat, just me and you, or me and whatever group that you want us to speak about. It could be Stockfells, it could be building black businesses, it could be how to build a structure like AfriForum, which is based on a cultural identity. Could be who should I vote for, Pen? Please can you make a video giving us the top 5 political parties in South Africa, the pros and cons of each? Or Pen, please can you make a video going through the manifestos of the ANC, the DA, and the EFF? Pen, please can you let us know how can we build great community platforms that will allow us to win? I can do that for you, and in that video, I'll give you a shout out. I'll give a shout out to whoever you want me to give a shout out to. It could be the love of your life. It could be your parents. If you want to know about life insurance, Pen, I just got a payout of 2 million rand. My parent passed on. Please let me know what to do with this money. Where can I invest it? Pen, I want to know which are the top 3 medical aids I should look into. Pen, if I have 10,000 rand, where should I put it? Pen, I've got children. I'm not sure what type of school I should send them to. Please, can you make a video? Send me a little bit of money. Let me know if you want me to give a shout out to your business, maybe to your employer. You want to thank the company that employs you. You maybe want to thank your grandmother who left you maybe some pigs. You want to thank someone who's taught you something. I can do that for you. Pen, you all the black pen. Let's carry on learning together. Let's empower each other. Let us become valuable, value-adding citizens and human beings on this planet we call Earth. Love you guys very much. Have a great and blessed day. Don't forget to visit on Facebook, Garmentz, Garmentz, or visit their website, www.garmentz.co.za. Have a great day. Cheers.